I'm Rachel Griffiths. I'm doing a final presentation about my internship experience at Madison County Probation Department. During this presentation, I'm going to give a summary of the department, describe what I did and what the things I saw, reflect on the experience, tell you guys my future plans, and thank you for this lovely experience. The ultimate goal of probation supervision is to promote public safety and reduce recidivism through rehabilitation and registration of the offender into society. This mixes the duties of a Sorry, can we restart this? Okay, all right. Restart it or just?
Start wherever you want to.
Okay. This is so weird. Okay. All right. The ultimate goal of probation supervision is to promote public safety and reduce recidivism through rehabilitation and reintegration of the offender into society. This makes it so that this probation is a mix between supervision, correctional, and social work. They have a lot of work to do with keeping people on their treatment plans, what they need to do. It's tough with probation because with the treatment plans, you kind of have to be a better person on probation than you do off of probation. And while there is leeway, it's still tough for everyone involved. During my internship, I observed the filing of probably should go back. While I had to sign a confidentiality agreement for my internship at probation, and everyone who I observed knew that I was there, agreed to me being there, knew that I was an intern, everyone was all set with it. While I was there, I observed the filing of family defense petitions, which is kind of what we colloquially call restraining orders, but it's only for people who you have a family relationship with. So if it's a friend, it wouldn't work. If it's your son, it would. And then I conducted a mock family defense petition interview. It was very interesting. It was hard to get the information I needed while still letting the person vent. Even though it wasn't a real case, it still felt kind of real. Even though some of the facts of the case were kind of silly, we had a little bit of fun, but we still treated it seriously as we could. And it was kind of awkward, but we got through. It was a good experience. I observed both initial and regular supervision meetings. Initial supervision has a lot more collecting base information. Regular supervision is a lot quicker. It's a lot of checkup. They're pretty different, but it was very interesting seeing where people are and what kind of questions were asked. I also observed pre-sentencing and pre-plea interviews. Before someone gets sentenced, a lot of the times they ask the probation department to conduct an interview where they ask about the person's history, their side of the story of the event that took place that got them arrested, what their life is like, what their job situation is, what their family situation is, to decide whether or not probation is a good fit for them. And most of the report is, here are the facts of the situation. The real objective part of it is a very small end of the report thing, but it was still very interesting, the things that the probation officer took into consideration when creating the recommendation. And then I also attended court with several probation officers for violations or just for normal court proceedings. Sometimes I got to read the file, sometimes of the person at court, sometimes I didn't. It was a lot more interesting when I got to read the file, but it was interesting to see how different courts interacted. It was like some courts were a lot busier. Madison County courts were very quiet because it was usually one-on-one. Town courts were very busy. There was traffic tickets, there was initial court proceedings, there was sentencing sometimes, but it was all fast-paced and it was just very interesting. I learned a lot. I learned a lot during my experience. I learned that it varies a lot from county to county. Probation is something that all counties are required to have, but there's more leeway of what that looks like. A lot of the differences has to do with funding, with manpower. The caseload has a lot to do with how much time you can spend on a probation officer can spend on a probationer, how much time, how much leeway they're allowed to get in court. But they're always working to improve it. I know that there's a questionnaire that people have to answer before a pre-sentencing or pre-plea interview, and it goes into the system where it shows risk level assessments, but they've found that it's inaccurate for women, for drug offenses, various other offenses, so they're going to work on introducing new questionnaires to make it more accurate for those situations. My final project, I wasn't able to finish my final project for obvious reasons. My time there was cut short. It was something that I would have had to do person to person. It was going to be a birds. It was going to be about general responses and why am I blanking on this? I worked so long on this. Graduated sanctions and general responses. So it was kind of the carrot and stick mentality. If someone does something bad, they get punished. If someone does something good, they get something good. And on the screen, it's probably going to be small in the online, but it's not a finished version. This isn't anything official from probation. This is my rough draft. I don't know if all of these are possible. I don't know if all of these would work. A lot of it has to do with funding. A lot of it has to do with time. And I didn't get to run this through completely with anybody. This is just my rough draft. But it would have a lot to do, well, it would be sectioned into two categories where it was juvenile and general. The things that they can do is for responses and sanctions are very different for both groups. And then in those groups, it would be separated again into three categories for risk level. All probationers have a risk level associated with them. It has to do with how likely they are to reoffend. And so someone with a low risk would have more things that they can gain from good behavior than someone with high risk, though a high risk might be able to go down to a medium risk. A lot of it would have to do with extending curfew, giving them a free pass for inter-county travel, things like that, without having to ask a probation officer beforehand. For my future plans, I'm going to Simmons University. I'm going to be a political science major, and I want to be a criminal defense lawyer. I think I'm probably going to be a public defender, but that's not set in stone. I don't really know how I want to practice law specifically, but I have plenty of time to figure that out. But because of this experience, I know that I'm prepared for it. And I want to thank everyone. I'm thankful for my teachers for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful program. I'm thankful for Madison County for having a classroom that's so close to everyone, and I got to see so many interesting departments. I learned something new in every tour. I'm thankful for everyone at Probation for allowing me to sit in with them and ask kind of dumb questions, sometimes smart, but I learned a lot every day that I went to Probation. I learned something new, whether it was direct or indirect. I learned a lot, and I want to thank everyone for that. All right, that's it. All right. I did it.
Was it nervous knowing you were being taped?
Yeah.
What